So, how many of you have been to a yoga or mindfulness class where the teacher gives you the cue, let's all just ground ourselves before we begin? And you were like, So, I've been in the same place and I finally decided to dig a little bit deeper. And I've come to the conclusion that there are three communities that define the word grounding differently. And I'm going to tell you about all three in this video. So, the first community is the science community, the second is the yoga community, and the third is the mindfulness community. So, for the science people, grounding essentially means the process by which you connect electrical systems and appliances to the ground. And here, by ground, we mean a physical connection with the earth. And this is essentially to allow a low resistance path for the flow of electricity, and it is a safety measure to prevent shocks and fires and related accidents. So, how has grounding come to be used for people? Apparently, it's an ancient practice which has kind of been reborn in recent days, and there is some preliminary research which is going into demonstrating how grounding can have benefits physiological, emotional, and mental for people. But what does grounding essentially mean when it comes to humans? So, grounding means making direct skin contact with the surface of the earth, and you can either do it through your hands, feet, or you can use a grounding mat. The earth here can mean grass or mud or sand or even cement can work to help you ground. So, although there has been some research in this field, I believe that it is still a bit inconclusive. And when it's inconclusive and ambiguous, I would suggest that you conduct some research for yourself and experiment to see if you find any benefits, because it's just such an easy practice, which certainly seems to have potential in terms of improving the mood, reducing fatigue, reducing stress and anxiety, reducing inflammation, improving sleep, and even some cardiovascular benefits. So, I'll give you three points of research, and you can use that to experiment with yourself. So, the first point of research is when it comes to your mood, and research has shown that after 1 hour of exposure to grounding, the participants felt an improvement in their mood. The participants of this experiment used the brief mood introspection scale, which is essentially just a list of 16 emotions, and they rated themselves on these 16 emotions before and after the grounding practice. So all you have to do is just rank yourself on these 16 emotions before you go into your garden, spend an hour there, and then rate yourself afterwards as well, and see if you find any improvement. And if you do, then you can use it again, right? So the second and third experiments are for the healing of a wound, inflammation, and chronic pain. So the experiment for both of these is essentially the same. Expose yourself for about 30 minutes to any form of grounding and record the results. The research that they conducted was essentially with a 33-year-old person who had inflammation and chronic knee pain due to an injury that happened like 15 years earlier, and after about 12 weeks of grounding practice for 30 minutes every day, she was able to run a marathon. So who knows? Experiment for yourself and let me know in the comments if that worked for you. The second set of people that have defined the term grounding are the yoga people. And for the yoga people, grounding is a little more fluid. It can mean this, it can mean that, it depends on the person who's doing the practice, etc. But what I've understood is that essentially the asanas that are said to be more grounding are the ones that strengthen your core and your legs, because they are the foundation of our body and connect us to the earth. This also means that your root chakra is the one that you work on, because they say that if your root chakra is not in balance, then you tend to feel insecure, fearful, and unstable. The asanas that are typically recommended for this are Sukhasana, Malasana, Tadasana, and Child's Pose. So if you don't know what these mean, then you can just do a few Surya Namaskars and just see how you feel. Just see if you feel a little more grounded. So, the third group of people that define the term grounding are the mindfulness people, and maybe my favorite because for mindfulness people, grounding means everything. So often, the terms mindfulness and grounding are synonyms for each other, which means that grounding is any activity which helps you anchor to the present moment and thereby relieves you of stress, of anxiety, etc. So, to sum up, an activity where you get to connect to the earth, which involves some kind of movement where your mind can be fully present in what you're doing, is a triple whammy in terms of grounding.